Shalom and welcome to this episode of Ask Aviel. My name is Aviel. It is my pleasure to share with you what I have discovered in my walk so that we can learn and grow together. There are 10 songs recorded in the scriptures, which are above all other songs according to Jewish tradition, and above any song that has ever been composed in the world since creation. The 10 songs mark historical events in Jewish history and in the history of the world. The first song is found in Psalm 92, Mizmor Sher Leyom HaShabbat, which means a song for the Shabbat day. This is the song that Adam sang after the creation was completed. This song or psalm is recited on Shabbat, and it has principles of the millennial kingdom because it deals with the world to come, which is entirely a whole Shabbat of rest. The Shabbat is intended to be a delight, not a burden. The Jews have used this psalm in the synagogue worship on Shabbat because on that day, above all others, our thoughts should be lifted up from all earthly things to God Himself. The second song is found in Exodus 15, verses 1 to 21. It is known as the Song of the Sea. This remarkable Song of the Sea was sung after Moses led the nation into the wilderness on the other side of the Sea of Reeds. The Hebrews sang this song because their salvation was real to them. They were astounded that the power and the presence of God rescued them from Egypt and the chariots of Pharaoh, the fierce armies who were pursuing them. They praised God because He opened the sea for them to walk right through. They sang because God was their strength and He was their song. They sang because of the victory won by the great strength of the Lord. His strength will not let us down. The song was all about God. There was not a word about Moses, nor Aaron, nor Miriam. This is a glorious song that recognizes that we cannot save ourselves, but God must become our salvation. The enemies of Israel would become afraid when they heard of the great things God did for Israel. The Lord shall reign forever and ever. The people sang because of deliverance, victory, defense, and their confidence in God. This song was sung as an instantaneous outburst of joy at the realization of the Hebrews' physical freedom after the miraculous event at the Sea of Reeds. The third song is found in Numbers 21, verses 17 to 18, and it is known as the Song of the Well. The last time we heard of Israel singing was back at the Sea of Reeds in Exodus 15. That was a long time ago, about 40 years. Now, once again, they sang joyful songs. There was thankful joy for the ways God provided water for the people. Israel trusted God, and God provided water for them. These words were a call to the people to sing to the well. Come up, well, from the valley, and bring up what you have to bring up. This well had been with them from the beginning of the 40 years' wanderings. This was the well which the princes, Moses and Aaron, dug with their staffs, and it was given to Israel as a gift. There is also a possibility that when Israel encamped, the princes of each tribe took his staff and drew a line on the ground from the well to his banner and encampment, and the waters of the well ran by way of that mark and came before the camping place of each tribe. The well was given to them at the beginning of the 40 years of wandering. The well descended finally into the valley that was in the country of Moab. There, Miriam and Moses died, and there the well finally ceased to flow. The fourth song is found in Deuteronomy 32, verses 1 to 52. This song is known as the Song of Moses. It was sung to Israel by Moses prior to his death, and at the conclusion of Israel's 40-year wanderings in the Sinai desert. Moses sang out a song asking for attention from Israel and from all of creation. Moses called heaven and earth as witnesses against them. These were witnesses that endure forever. If Israel acted worthily, the witnesses might come and give them their reward. But if they acted sinfully, the hand of the witnesses might be the first against them. He then gave praise to God, both for who God was and for what God had done. Moses sang this song as a witness against a rebellious Israel, highlighting that their sin was even more foolish and unwise in light of what God had done for them. It is foolish and unwise to rebel against God, who has done so much for us. This song was sung as a witness against a rebellious Israel. Moses sang, reminding Israel of all God's goodness to them. He wanted to both bring a greater conviction of sin to them and to remind them of God's love and grace that they could return to when they repented. In forsaking God, Israel turned to the pagan idols of the nations around them and actually worshipped demons. There was a dark spiritual reality behind the idols of the nations, and Israel embraced that dark spiritual reality. When God's people forsook Him, He withdrew the intimacy of His presence. At first, this was seen as a relief because their conviction of sin was not so great. But then, the darkness and desperation set in soon after. When the hiding of God's face does not draw God's people into repentance, God then sends His hand of correction and allows calamity to bring the attention of His people back upon Him. This can be a remarkably effective preventative to backsliding. When we are in a backslidden state, we should consider where it will lead us. We should also see the compassion of God that we receive. We see that there is no God other than the God of Israel. We see the greatness of God. We see God's character and His nature. This song was sung by Moses to help assure the spiritual future of the Hebrews and included words of warning, of instruction, and of hope, and reaffirmed God's care and love to the Hebrews in all circumstances. The song was not so much a testimony to the past, but rather a warning for the present and the future. It was sung to a people who were mostly already born into physical freedom. The fifth song is in Joshua 10, verses 12 to 15. This song is not referenced in the Tanakh as a song, but it is documented in the extra-biblical book of Jasher, chapter 89. This is the Song of Gibeon, a place in the valley of Ayalon near Jerusalem in the book of Joshua. Joshua was the leader commissioned to lead the conquest of Canaan, and he exhorted the sun to stand still upon Gibeon and the moon in the valley of Ayalon in order to enable him to wage war and to defeat Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem and his allies. Joshua sang a song of praise to God. He had said, "Let the sun stop," and it stood still. At that moment, the moon stood opposite the valley of Ayalon, which was a distance from Gibeon. This would enable the Hebrews to enter Canaan and set up the divisions of land for each Hebrew tribe, as well as establish a sanctuary at Shiloh, which served as a holy city. That sanctuary stood for 200 years until the first temple was built by King Solomon. The sixth song is found in Judges 5, verses 1 to 31. It records the Song of Deborah. This song is commonly attributed only to Deborah. Barak's role in the composition and perhaps performance of the song is often overlooked. This song was sung by the prophetess Deborah after the Hebrew armies defeated the armies of Canaan, led by their general Sisera. Deborah also sang about Yael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, who used a spike and a hammer to drive the spike through the head of Sisera while he slept. Deborah and Barak sang the song to bless God for bringing deliverance. Deborah sang concerning the overthrow of Israel's enemies. When we experience victory over our enemies, let our gratitude be deeper. Let our song be more jubilant. The seventh song is in 1 Samuel 2, verses 1 to 10. It records the song of Hannah. Hannah was the mother of the prophet Samuel. The song of Hannah calls attention to the humiliation and misery of a barren woman, Hannah herself, who confided her pain to God. After her prayers were completed, she was then blessed with a child, Samuel. The song of Hannah was the story of a woman who was barren for a long time, and then a very special child came. He anointed kings for Israel. This is but one of many examples of the power of prayer in the Tanakh. This song records the worship Hannah offered on the very day she left her little boy, her only child, at the tabernacle, and never had him to live in her home again. Hannah showed a depth of commitment and love for God. On the day she made the biggest sacrifice of her life, she rejoiced in the Lord. Hannah spoke of strength and power being exalted in the Lord. Hannah's rival Peninnah had cruelly brought Hannah down, but now Hannah rejoiced because the Lord lifted her up. The eighth song is found in both 2 Samuel 22 and Psalm 18. This is the song of David. This is the only song of the 10 songs to be recorded twice in the Tanakh. King David recounted the desperate state of his very survival and existence during different parts of his long life. He sang a song of praise and dedicated the song to God after God had saved him from the hands of all his enemies and from the hands of Saul. Saul was David's greatest enemy and pursuer. In his old age, after all his troubles had passed and he had survived all of them, David sang this song. David spoke to the Lord the words of this song. This song appears as David's final words. It was a summary of thanksgiving for God's many deliverances of him through his long life of service. In his old age, David looked back with great gratitude and sang this song, looking at his whole life. This psalm is a great summary of David's whole character and attitude through life. David reviewed his own remarkable history and observed the gracious hand of God in it all. The ninth song is the Song of Songs. The Song of Songs, or Song of Solomon, was written by King Solomon. It is one of the 5 Megillot, or scrolls, part of the section of the Tanakh called the Writings. The book records poetic conversations between 2 lovers, a man and a woman, describing their pursuit of each other through vineyards and fields of blossoming flowers. It is traditionally understood as a metaphor for the loving relationship between God and the people of Israel, and is often read publicly on Passover or Shabbat evening. All the scriptures indeed are holy, but the Song of Songs is like the Holy of Holies. Some see this book primarily as a drama dealing with 3 characters: Solomon, a simple country shepherd, and the young maiden. The idea is that Solomon one day traveled through his kingdom and saw the young maiden and was captivated by her beauty. Though she was betrothed to the simple shepherd, Solomon brought her back to his palace and tried to win her affection with all lavish gifts and loving words. Though her resolve wavered, just before she gave in to Solomon's attention and affection, she fled his palace and went back to her simple shepherd, her true love. It can also be viewed as a literal, powerful description of the romantic and sensual love between a man and a woman, observing both their courtship and their marriage. Yeshua began his ministry by blessing a wedding in John 2, verses 1 to 11, and the final step in man's relationship and fellowship with God is pictured as a wedding feast in Revelation 19, verses 6 to 10. Since the Song of Songs presents the height and glory and passion of love in marriage, it powerfully illustrates the love relationship that exists between God and His people, between Yeshua HaMashiach and His bride, Israel. The 10th song is found in Isaiah 9, verses 2 to 7 and Isaiah 26, verse 1. It is the Song of Mashiach, or Song of the Messiah. This song is yet to be sung. It will be sung during the times of Messiah, after Mashiach appears on earth. It points to the day of Messiah's ultimate triumph, the day when Messiah reigns over Israel and over all the world. In that day, there will be a lot of joyful singing. This song will be sung in the land of Judah. Mankind has never known a truly godly city, the city of God on earth. In that day, all will know the strength and glory of the city of God. That city will be Jerusalem, which is the strength unto us, where God will appoint His salvation. This song will be fulfilled in Revelations 15, verses 3 to 4. And they are singing the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb. This song, deeply rooted in the works of God, gives praise to God's works, God's ways, God's worthiness, and God's worship. This is the heart of true worship, understanding that it's all about God, not about us. I have briefly introduced the 10 songs sung to Hashem. 9 have already occurred. The 10th one is the final one that is associated with the coming of Mashiach, and we will sing it at the final redemption. I am looking forward to that. Thank you for joining me. I pray that this message inspires and challenges you. God bless you and your family. Shalom.